In 2005, Matthew McConaughey was cast as the lead, Dor Ben-Habakkuk, to the film version of her book, Silver Skies. Matthew, who substituted for Vladimir 1 month as Gail's telepathic lover after Vladimir's near-fatal heart attack, fell in love with Gail. So Brent and Vladimir established a marriage list for Gail despite her objections, to ensure that if anything happened to them, Gail would get a good husband. Any man on the marriage list cannot have romance or sex with any other woman besides Gail, or he will be kicked off. Gail warns the men on the list that she may not marry them. The men, Matthew McConaughey and others, don't care. They want Gail. The marriage list remains. The men receive a female dummy programmed with Gail's personality to communicate with and have intimacy with while they wait for her. With groundbreaking computer satellite technology, the dummy's interactions with the man approximate almost 98% Gail's responses to the man. Gail would like to note that it has to be willing and knowing sex. If the man is raped, he can remain on the marriage list. 2006. Because Gail felt Vladimir was not as brave as Brent in love, Gail reinstated Brent Spiner as her primary love interest in February, the same month that Jesuits canceled the television series Threshold with Brent in a starring role. Gail retained Vladimir as her intimate friend and supporter. Brent now made love to Gail via brain-to-brain communications. In Brent's Dreamland CD, the song To Know You Is to Love You seems to be around 2006 and onward in Brent and Gail's love story. The famous and influential men that are committed to Gail increase, with men screened for compatibility with Gail using satellite computer brain reads and personality profiles. Brent, with a team of scientists, fine-tuned their genetic discoveries, and in 2006, they learned that Gail's genes lined up half King David and half Catherine the Great. Gail began her memoir, Gail of King David. George Lucas and other Hollywood producers and directors wanted to assist Steven Spielberg to put Silver Skies and Gail of King David to film, but Jesuits obstructed Gail's writings with ferocity. Gail gradually rebuilt the writing library that she had to auction off in 2001 and relearned writing skills she developed earlier in 1991 to 1996. Brent states that the Nobel Prize Committee wanted to give Gail the Nobel Prize in Medicine for her work in conspiracy law that brought medicine into the space age. Gail laughed at the Nobel Prize Committee. Good luck giving me the prize. The Jesuits, desiring to continue their secret criminal space age medicine, blocked all monies and awards from Gail. Jesuits also entered Gail's apartment and replaced her 2002 tax return and all supporting legal documents with a counterfeit to make it appear that H&R Block did her tax return in 2002. After this, Gail insists she be home every time anyone enters her apartment. In 2007, Gail finally bought a DVD player to supplement her videocassette players and bought her first Matthew McConaughey movie. It seemed that Matthew landed no roles that portrayed him with manliness, commitment, and depth, like how he thrilled her in Love in 2005. When a famous man loves Gail, Jesuits go on a rampage to make him appear a shallow playboy, to prepare him for the woman they use to sabotage his love for Gail. Gail began acupuncture to treat strange illnesses and became brilliant in natural medicine. Gail's acupuncture physician encouraged Gail to become an acupuncture physician. Gail now in perimenopause. The Jesuits flattened the tire to her car in her apartment's parking lot. Right after she finished her first draft of this memoir, she caught the film David on TBN, which is about King David, this film was made in 1998 with Franco Nero as Nathan the Prophet. David was filmed when Franco and Gail had a romantic friendship. Note of interest: Franco in 1998 did not know that Gail had half the genetic profile of King David. Gail received information in the mail about a subsidy publisher where the author pays the publisher to publish their work. She was not interested at first. In 2008, because Gail's men brought her writings to Hollywood and Steven Spielberg started movies based on her writings, this kept Gail's men from her. That's because the Jesuits, desperate to kill Gail, tried to create the impression that her men only wanted to use her for money and had no desire to love or care for her. So she had the fame, but no money at all from her writings. Therefore her men, Brent Spiner, Matthew McConaughey, and Vladimir Putin, until they could get to Gail her writing money without the Jesuits killing her in the process, feared to have an open face-to-face relationship with her. Jesuits used auto mechanics at this time to sabotage her car. After this, Gail only had her car serviced by the Chrysler dealership. Vladimir bared his chest in public to get Gail's attention. Gail finished Silver Skies in 2005, but no literary agent or publisher offered representation even when she mailed out letters requesting their services. She experienced one problem after another. So in 2008, when she finally decided to publish the book through a subsidy publisher, she wanted Matthew McConaughey on her front cover because Steven Spielberg cast Matthew as her lead, but the publisher cited copyright concerns. So she hired this publisher, which turned out to be a Jesuit publisher, by the way, to do artwork instead. The result was a wimpy-looking redhead with an angelic expression. The Jesuit publisher said that to do it over, she'd have to pay more. So she used black ink to change her main character to look like her lead, and she'd never had an art course. She ended up with a botched front cover, but at least she captured Dora's soul. The publisher then omitted her author photo on the back cover, then shrunk it so small you needed a magnifying glass to see it. Her photo finally made it how she wanted it, but only after she drew many pictures and gave detailed instructions. Brent released his CD Dreamland in 2008 to let Gail know why he had Laurie in his life. Basically because in 1992, he went to bed dreaming about Gail, and then when Laurie's drugs wore off, he realized he'd been raped. Laurie McBride became his stalker and rapist. This happened in September 1992, and explains why Brent gave Gail 3 weeks of silence in September 1992. Brent's tried to rid himself of Laurie ever since she drug-raped him in September 1992 at Paramount Studios, but she won't leave him alone until she finishes her assignment to devastate Brent's love for Gail. Jesuit-run Paramount Studios feigning embarrassment in 1992 because Brent had communications with Gail, while she remained with a Jesuit husband who scorned Brent Spiner and Star Trek, forced Brent in 1992 or 1993 into a Paramount Studios enforced boyfriend-girlfriend relationship with Laurie McBride. Brent has not been able to get rid of Laurie McBride ever since. In 2008, Laurie McBride threatened death to Gail if Brent would not mention her on the credits to his new CD, Dreamland. So Brent gave Laurie a small mention on the inside flap. This Gail's Silver Skies manuscript was submitted for publication in March 2008. But because of problem after problem, it didn't make print until January 2009. Gail began the outline for a Silver Skies sequel dedicated to the nation of Israel and her ancestor King David. Psychiatrist and actor Gerard Butler informed Gail that Matthew McConaughey suffered clinical depression from tabloid lies about his alleged relationship over Jesuit Camilla Alves, who strapped a bomb onto Matthew's chest, threatening to blow him up if he wouldn't give her sex. The sex he gave her resulted in a pregnancy, which devastated Matthew, who vomited when he gave Camilla sex with a bomb on his chest. Camilla threatened to kill Gail if Matthew told the truth about how Camilla's pregnancy came about. Jesuit Camilla used the pregnancy to trap Matthew into a relationship with her. She became to Matthew like Laurie was to Brent. Camilla delivered Matthew's baby. Gail made brain-to-brain love to Matthew to comfort him, believing that the pregnancy happened because of artificial insemination. In 2009, a Jesuit surge caused Gail's computer to crash in January. She lost all of her Silver Skies that was composed after 2009, and that was on the hard drive. She had to retype all her rewrites after 2001 into a new computer from a 2001 version. It took her about 50 hours. She bought a new computer, printer, and monitor. They were all destroyed in the surge. Her credit card debt deepened. Silver Skies was published, but Jesuits rich enough to orchestrate a recession did just that, all because of Gail's book. Then, using a Jesuit clone version of the Internet, all the money earned from Silver Skies got funneled to Jesuit banks. Gail earned about $5. The version of the Internet that her publishers got recorded no earnings from Gail's book. In April, Gail saw her son, now a legal adult, for the first time since March 2001 and began rebuilding a relationship with him. In May, June, and July of 2009, Gail, dizzy and faint with diarrhea from the yeast bacterium which the Jesuits infected her with, became hypoglycemic. Using medical brilliance, she managed to make herself functional and return to work. In August, her publisher paid $600 to promote her novel, claimed the novel made no sales in its initial 2-month run, despite Gail's own mail out of 300 advertising brochures to friends, agents, and publishers. The post office mysteriously lost the mail that she sent to the Pennsylvania Attorney General regarding complaints about her Jesuit publisher. Gail worked on her memoir and her Silver Sky sequel while working full-time at a regular job. Getting regular acupuncture treatment, she was still on natural medicine, and in a bathing suit, her skin looked at least 12 years younger than her age with an hourglass teenage figure. After acupuncture, her singing voice came back, but it was not consistent, with good and bad days. Silver Skies went back into production as a film. Steven Spielberg felt the new version would be truer to Gail's novel. In 2010, Gail finally got the Internet in January. She emailed Brent and got this message. Miss Chana, this email address is also monitored by the web administrator. It was for the purpose of gathering data for a possible documentary that has been put on hold. However, I am certain Mr. Spiner would be very displeased by the things you are saying about his wife and their child. It would be best to discontinue such writing, web administrator. At the end of February 2010, while doing her taxes, Intuit offered her a free website for a month. So Gail started her website, GabrielChana.com, which has evolved into one of the world's most important websites. Gail learned how to build her website through trial and error and consulting with Intuit by phone. Gail has worked on her website as a full-time job, averaging 6 or less hours of sleep, to work on it every day since February 2010. Brent stated in a Dave Rabbit radio interview in February 2008 that Laurie doesn't understand him and she's not his wife. And Gail saw this for the first time in 2010. She listened to it. Brent told Gail over and over through brain-to-brain communications that he loved her and wanted to marry her. Gail assured Brent she'd marry him if he showed up. Jesuits used a clone version of the Internet to funnel Gail's writing monies to Jesuit banks, sabotaging orders at Amazon.com so that Gail earned nothing for Nobel Prize winner Silver Skies from May 1st to October 31st, 2009. Brent won lawsuits against Laurie McBride for anti-Semitism for fake photos of Brent with Laurie plastered on the Internet. The photos remain. Gail concluded that she would never get the money from her book sales in a conventional manner due to Jesuit obsession over her, and decided to publish her memoir at her website in a semi-movie form using lots of videos to tell her story, and is trusting God to repay her for offering her life story to the world for free so that truth will prevail. On February 27, 2010 at 3:34 a.m. Chile time, from 21.8 or 22 miles underground, one of the strongest earthquakes, 8.8 magnitude in recorded history, hit Chile, 70 miles northeast of Concepcion, like all the Jesuits' reproductive crimes, Chile's second largest city. And this video will be continued. This story will be continued on another video.